Hey folks, how's it going? We're checking out more of Jonathan's Creek. Hopefully you guys had a fantastic day. Alright, the last episode we got a good introduction to everybody, usually how it goes in the first episode. Got to know what Jonathan is like personality-wise and everything, and why he's so important to solving crimes and all the jazz, and how he had connected with an investigative journalist, and everything moved forward from there. I really enjoyed the last episode. It was very fun trying to guess the clues as they're being revealed to us, and even when I thought they were going in a direction, it was completely different, and I never expected it to be old girl in the end, because of how good of a job they did misdirecting us. I even thought the wife being the perpetrator of everything, I was like, this feels like it's too on the nose, but maybe it's not about who did it, it's about how they did it. I thought it was maybe going in that direction. We already know the who, but let's focus on the how. And no, that wasn't it either. It was just done so good, and I really enjoyed myself, and I was guessing wrong most of the time. Well, actually all the time. What I mean. Yeah, I was guessing wrong the entire time, and I look forward to the same process. I had a good time with it. So let's just go ahead and jump into this one. We'll talk about it more at the end.
If you think a banana is a banana, try unzipping a tonga. They're firm, but not too firm.
Yeah, this isn't sexual.
Ripe, but not too ripe.
The wild commercial.
Delicious, but not too ripe. In fact, so tasty down to the last bite.
I mean, what can I say? There isn't a laugh in the show.
Hey.
For a start, I'm barely on the screen. What have I got? 4 close-ups? And there's no trigger
And,
points
Vicar Dibley.
anywhere because you never cut in for the joke.
You know, the image of a man parking the front wheel of his bike between a girl's buttocks, in the current climate...
Isn't PC? Is that what you're telling me? Well, this is? Scott, it's a pile of crap. To me, comedy is about truth.
The essence of this campaign is we take Jack Holliday, legendary king of slapstick, and subvert the knockabout form that made you famous. Look, this whole discussion is academic because the client's going to hack it to shreds anyway. So, look, stop worrying about it and bank the checks, okay? Look, I got to go. I'll call you next week.
You know what's called when you can't move your fingers? It starts going to like the rest of your body. You should know that because a lady who I used to work with, and she was saying how it got much worse until she got on like experimental stem cell stuff, and she was crunched over and all that stuff, and then it reversed a lot of it. I'm not sure how true that story was. But...
How's it looking?
Ask your husband.
I want to thank my sister Rachel, who never for 1 second doubted my innocence, and everyone who's campaigned for my relief. Miss Magellan in particular, for bringing this whole case back to national...
Such was the media's obsession with the murder of Jennifer Holliday that Mr. Rokesmith here was virtually tried, convicted and sentenced by the tabloid press, who, as usual, prove themselves to be as inaccurate as they are illiterate.
Can you spell that?
From the very people who helped to put him away. Do you think any of us is interested in money?
Lady, you are out your mind.
Money can't restore 9 years of a man's life.
Forget that. Take away 9 years of my life. I would want more than 150K. Not only from them, but from the government. But it helps cushion that blow a little bit. Just serving 9 years for nothing.
Mal?
And for pain and suffering. Pain and suffering as well. I'm not so prideful, I'll rip up a check.
I'm going to rent a little cottage on the Welsh coast, away from the press and the media, and locks and keys. Take a boat out, maybe. An innocence about your life. In a strange way, it helps you to find yourself.
If he hadn't gone to LA for that casting meeting, if. When I rang him up to break the news,
I mean, it's too obvious.
God help me if I ever had to live through that again.
Or he could kill his wife.
locked on the other side. Could we get a crowbar or something?
Oh, this is a torture cell, or what is going on? Got a serial killer? It's an old
I'm gonna get
shelter.
inside this thing.
Do what is going on? No bomb shelter. I think.
Crippling arthritis in both hands. Someone set this up.
Mrs. Holliday, we're 30 feet underground. You saw yourself how those doors were bolted on the inside. It's a simple physical fact.
So that's why I wanted to get away. How do you get out of a, like, they only say, look, a bomb shelter? They showed that pipe. There's gotta be a reason they showed that pipe.
No, I'm not, actually. The show's not on at the moment. Adam's got a disease of the inner ear. What do you call that thing where you keep losing your balance? Labyrinthitis. It just suddenly came on last Thursday. Top of the show, walks on, stay in bed and rest, basically. So anyway, what have you been up to? Sorry?
I don't know if that's a disease or just a...
Tomorrow, what time? Hang on, I'll just look at the diary. No, that's fine.
I learned like cooking.
Morning.
Pretty fun.
You're useful to have around.
This is illegal. I'm just curious to see how these... Ah. I see what you're about. So how are things in the old...
Thought. How do you fancy a drive down to the coast today? Flush out the carbon monoxide with a bit of sea air.
That's a tempting idea. And I'm going to have to put this back on once I've worked out how to unlock it. Hold of this.
Sorry. Good journalist. I have to protect my sources. They're brilliant things. You can park anywhere in London. Want to pop it back in the boot for me and we'll be off.
That's clever. I know. We never even think of something like that.
You always fear the worst. Stop this car.
Jonathan.
Flush out the carbon monoxide with some sea air.
Look, just hear me out then. If you're not interested, I'll forget it, okay? Afghanistan. No suicide note, but he was obviously depressed.
Yeah, due to the fact that the guy who strangled his first wife has just been released from prison with your assistance.
Alan Rokesmith didn't strangle Jennifer Holliday. He was the victim of a squat. The night Holliday's wife was
really
murdered,
isn't enough.
Rokesmith is in the next street discussing business with a prostitute. They both hear a scream. Rokesmith runs round to see what's happened. The young slapper pops it. Rokesmith's no sooner at the body and is untying a rope from a... She showed me the evidence, and I just kept pestering and publicising till the Home Office finally saw sense and granted a reprieve.
All right. Can I ask where all this is leading?
The glove compartment.
Gling misguided cow.
Oh, wow.
Thanks to your liberal, in inverted commas, pamphleteering, my husband is dead. You're no more than scum, like all reporters, an oily, egotistical parasite.
Yes, all right, you needn't read him, Rogers. Used to be his secretary. They got married about a year after the death of his first wife. Look, Jack Holliday killed himself. The whole thing's self-evident, but... killed. A body in a locked room. Please. My integrity and peace of mind?
I don't think so.
For 100 quid.
Will you stop this car?
Jonathan, where's your sense of justice and fair play?
Stop the car! Demand you stop the car now!
You can feel safe. I'm like, no. I want to know this somebody actually did their job and found the right person for it. I wouldn't. I don't know. I can just take comfort if the evidence is flimsy. Going, well, they're off the streets now.
Where do we start?
Yeah, think that through it all.
She was.
Welcome to the House of Fun.
Good luck.
He left behind a legacy of laughter.
A heritage of hilarity that will survive us all, Mrs. Holliday.
This is the outfit he wore in Jack the Lad. They stopped halfway or got bunched around the knees. It wasn't funny.
It's amazing. You don't realise the scientific precision that's involved.
In 62.
I see there was a slight age difference.
He proposed to her when she was 7. She accepted. He moved to America for 15 years, and when he came back, he kept his promise. Death threats and what have you. Jack was scared out of his wits. He was a massive neurosis at the best of times. One minute it was the collapsing universe, the next, nuclear war. I remember that. Oh. Through the grief and the pain, we became closer.
She did
By
it.
the mid-80s, his career. Any light you can shed on the possible mechanics of all this, Mr. Creek, I'd be very grateful. I'll get Oliver to take you down if that's all right. He's been with Jack longer than anyone.
The contractors we used had built several like it around the country. It's based loosely on the Swiss model. Mr. Holliday's, of course, would have been more robust because it's set smack inside the cliff rock, which had to be hollowed out with jackhammers and God knows what. Marble cube. Floors, walls, ceiling, all cast from reinforced concrete, 50 centimeters thick, lined with traditional bricks and mortar, and a single door made from solid armored plate with bolts and deadlocks all on the inside.
One interesting accident. That'll be. I love a bunch of stuff like rubble or something falls and you just stuck. What a terrible way to go.
Moved into Kabul. Everyone thought the lot was going up. Of course, by the time they finished the basic construction work, it had all cooled off. Jack told them to forget it. They hadn't even put the doors in.
Or the lavatory.
Finish it. Like, why did he stop it? You know what I mean? Like, there's always some type of world conflict to shake things up. He's just like neurotic guy.
Quite a majestic lavatory.
Like
Odd.
I think you're looking at a light head for a second.
Box says 40 watt, bulb inside's 100. Anyone else who'd have known about this shelter?
Can't have been many who didn't. He loved showing it off.
Something to do with the door, isn't it?
Cards on the table, Mrs. Holliday. That door's as solid as a rock. And from the way it's been locked, nothing of this earth could have passed through afterwards.
An organ.
Right. Stop panicking. I'm in control. Oh. Message from Rokesmith. Asking me to get in touch ASAP.
My brain just does not work that way.
Twitchy passenger.
100 watt in it.
It's really making me nervous being in the car with you.
There's no reply from Mr. Rokesmith.
Of course he won't be there, will he? No, he's going away for the week, renting a cottage once and for all, for which I owe you a very large drink.
Yeah,
What?
he's still thinking it over.
What?
Sorry?
What's with the that irritating...
Apparently just starred in a TV commercial for bananas.
There you are then, doesn't square, does it?
Something doesn't square here.
She's lying about the
Seen it with
arthritis.
my own eyes. Can't for the life.
Well, no wonder you look rough. You should do the same as me and unplug the phone.
You'll see why they're everyone's top banana. Well, almost everyone's.
That's astonishing.
You think so?
John?
Sorry, right, can we go again? Someone's in front of the monitor.
Fine. In your own time, Chris. Don't worry if you're in shot. We can match around it.
Loaded a gun and emptied it into his head. I'd say not unless something very miraculous happened in the last 2 weeks of his life.
Wow, dude. Or is he dead? I don't know what I was just saying. What I meant.
What is it?
This cottage is being rented by Mr. Alan Rokesmith.
Yes, my brother. Where is he?
Hit some rocks or just said it was in pieces. I don't know why I thought he could manage a fishing boat. I don't know what possessed him. He just had this thing in his head about it for you.
And they think it happened when? Sometime on Thursday.
That's where his diary finished. First thing Thursday morning.
He left a message.
No, they're here somewhere.
Great, because when I come to write all this up, it'll just give me chapter and verse. Thanks.
That's, I think, everything he brought back with him when he came out. Afraid I haven't had time to sort it all out. Weird, that. When he always hated fudge.
Just gutted. The whole thing should end like this after all that we've...
Did they mention fudge yet?
I'm not the old wreckage of a boat with no sign of a body. That's just what you don't need. Another murder disguised as an accident. Sorry? Oh, a sort of mushroomy thing with cheese.
I don't know what to think. I've got a list of things this end that are making no sense whatsoever.
All I can say is, if it was conceived...
It wasn't. Because, oh, look, do you mind if I just lie down here for a minute and die?
Yeah.
You were the one who wanted to come back down here again.
Yes, all right. Oh, where that Lou was going to go. He had some special tool that enabled him to pull the trigger.
Like an arthritic suicide aid.
Which was on elastic. So that when... Yes?
So complicated. Yeah.
Sorry?
Why go through all that?
Why did he do that rather eccentric thing you've just described as opposed to shooting himself in the sitting room?
Had some difficulty acquiring supplies. Well, maybe it's me, but I just thought it was odd that he'd keep something like that from 9 years ago. Postmarks are all from around the time he was first arrested. I mean, fudge.
Time's getting on. I think we better get back to the car.
Oh, right. That's it, is it? Well, so far, you have been a great help, I must...
Suppose someone had a reason to kill Jack and Jennifer Holliday in the first place. They set up a load of death threats to make it look like a crank killing. Jennifer ends up strangled in an alleyway. And everyone will think it's Rokesmith again. But just to make sure Rokesmith's not around to clear himself or come up with any alibis, he's disposed of as well.
I buy that much, but it still doesn't tell us how the killer shot Holiday and then left the room.
No.
I'll find the keys, for goodness sake. Oh.
What?
She locked him in the car.
When I emptied my bag out up there, I'll bet I accidentally...
Nothing. Yeah, I saw trash. I asked her to kill. Is it the secretary?
So tell me about Rokesmith. Before he went to jail, where did he work?
And he really figured in his life were his sister and his mother, who he obviously adored.
There you go. Simple. isn't it always?
What have you found?
Nothing. It's taken me 2 hours. I've been staring at these words, looking...
What?
What?
It's screaming at you.
Stamps?
Sorry.
No, the secretary did it. Why would she let them scoop around?
Where it's not quite perfectly aligned.
No. Yeah, just about.
Well, that shows that the stamps on each of these envelopes have been removed.
You mean like... if he was having a secret affair or something? He was at it with someone he shouldn't have been.
Our secret
They
messages
sent each other
behind the
messages
snap.
underneath the stamps. A presto, I can see writing. We must try to be patient. I know things are looking bad right now, but if the truth comes out, it would be the end of everything. Don't give up hope. It's like a pretty heavy relationship. With a married woman, maybe? Makes sense he'd have kept them. Helped see him through, probably. I don't quite see how they help us, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say goodnight, then.
In his own world. Maybe it's somebody who hasn't been revealed. Girl, sleeping in the buff. Sneaking over next door.
Yeah.
Did you put a melon on my pillow with a knife through it?
No.
Drunk? How can I be drunk at 8:30 in the morning? You were the one knocking back the Chianti last night.
About in your bedroom.
There's a note.
I thought I was gonna say thick off.
I could have come in. Someone who wants us off this story. Someone who's worried we're getting too close to the truth. Guess now, for goodness sake.
No time to lose.
Right, where we go?
Anywhere. As far away from here as possible. That could be my head skewered to the mattress.
Right,
now,
dude.
just hang
Get out of here.
about. You can't tell me you've unravelled this whole thing and then just bugger off. What kind of spying to do whatever's necessary to see this through?
I would definitely need her on my team because it does not take me a lot of convincing to be like, all right, this is crazy now. I'm going home.
Morning. Maddie Magellan. I got your letter. What is this?
Oh, you've come back to tell me it was impossible. Like the police and everyone else. Whoever did this...
That's what I haven't been burned by a light bulb in so many years. Because I
When
haven't
I first
used
checked this
those.
place out, a door that could only have been locked the way it was by someone inside the room. Except there was no one else in the room. Only Jack Holliday. To all intents and purposes, he had to have killed himself.
And I've told you he couldn't have... Why won't anyone...
To work out. No one ever thinks you go to that much trouble to fool your audience. But if we hack away at it long enough, there is a way, a very elaborate way, this crime could have been carried out.
It opened up the whole question again. Who was really responsible for strangling Jennifer Holliday in that alleyway and why? Someone wanted her dead, and it's now become obvious who that person was.
Possibly have anything to
But
do...
you could be responsible for a murder, Mrs. Holliday, without actually carrying it out.
Oh, he paid somebody to do it?
He paid someone to...
But now came the problem. The gun was put in his hand to suggest suicide. A hand we all know was physically incapable of squeezing.
So what's
You're
wrong?
right. I was wrong. I believed in Alan Rokesmith. His sister did. We all did. Literally bought his way out of there.
You haven't anything to connect Jack with that evil man.
He'd kept these, Mrs. Holliday. I don't think you'll argue that's your husband's handwriting.
He was telling Rokesmith to keep his mouth shut, in exchange for which he'd stand by his pledge to make sure the money came through as they'd arranged.
A couple of years ago, one of his dark days, the whole world was against him. He got well oiled up, poured it all out. Like the plot of one of his films. Sad little clown. Thousands. Any sniff of divorce, she'd have filleted him like a kipper.
God bless him.
He knew a lot of villains. It wasn't hard for him to find somebody like Rokesmith. Just destroying that didn't seem right. I suppose the knife through the melon was...
Faintly childish.
You're telling me it was Rokesmith?
Rokesmith was down here, systematically dismantling the end wall of what was to have been the toilet. Brick by brick, till it exposed the outer shell of reinforced concrete. No chance of escaping through...
Looking back, it was all there in his eyes. Kind of hollow calm. All that creepy talk about guilt and innocence. He'd made peace with his conscience because he knew what he...
To make it look as though he'd been there till last Thursday. Wrecked his own boat, so that eventually they'd find the bits and assumed he'd drowned. But in fact...
He's behind the wall?
He was here. So he's paracetamol, and with his last half hour or so, seals himself up.
As a just in case those pills don't kill me. Just wake up really sick, like, oh no!
You look at this hole in the floor, behind it. And if the plan was for the lavatory to go against this wall, that's where your cistern's going to go. The fact that the brickwork looks a little different, you'd never notice, because Rokesmith switched bulbs, so the light in here will be a lot dimmer.
Oh, that's what the bulb... I was like, what the fucking... bulb can play? I said, because that smell had to whiff out with intensity. He didn't even decay yet. Well, he still has to smell like something. No, you'll slip. I did on the kitchen floor when I was a kid.
Impossible to slip on a banana.
I had to watch your cartoons.
Seaweed, no problem. Dog's mess, piece of cake. You try skidding on a banana peel.
You'll bust your butt. Don't do it on a like linoleum floor or tile floor.
And the box in the duplicate drawer comes out.
Like it didn't, the killer had to be in that room because there's no way he could ever have got out.
Maybe if I took a run at it.
That's what I did.
Well, how you could have thought it was Rokesmith?
Yeah. I think it's gonna work like
Well done.
on asphalt.
You've proved your point about the dog's mess. One more go with the banana peel.
Dude, I guess in the beginning, I know. I can't remember if I said it out loud or not, though. I'll go back and watch it if I said it out loud, that it was the guy, but I thought maybe he was faking his own death because he killed the girl. I never even thought that maybe he hired somebody to kill her, and that's what's coming back around. And I figured the guy faked his death so he can go and kill him after they showed that once they found the body. And I was like, maybe he faked his death because he doesn't want them to find out that he killed him because they have evidence. He left too much around. He just wanted to leave things a chance. He wants it to seem like he actually died so he can have a peaceful life or something. I don't know. I was taking myself so many places with this, but I guessed a little right, kind of right, that he murdered his wife. He just didn't do it himself. But yeah, dude, this was still another good episode. I really did not know where they're going, how this is going to work out. And it's crazy I didn't even think about that. Like, how are they going to fit that toilet? But I think maybe because, especially when you're watching a show, if I was walking into a house and we're doing some stuff, I automatically like, that pipe cut out so close. Like, it's kind of weird, you know what I mean, to the wall. I didn't think about the whole wall thing. And I think because you're watching a show and you think maybe it's just a set design or something along those lines, you know? But I was like, maybe the wife's involved. Maybe she was mad because he picked her, this young girl. And then I started going down the route, like, what if the wife found out that he already has this weird thing with dating that young girl, that he's like, I don't know, a sex offender or a pedo or something like that. So she killed him, but she wanted to maintain his legacy. I don't know, there were different thoughts in my head, but I didn't say them all out loud because they're all so random and not matching up with anything that was going on. I was starting to think it was going to be somebody that we just haven't seen. But I was like, wow, would a show do that? I don't know. I know when the guy was saying, speaking about like him having a legacy of laughter and they didn't want to ruin that and yada, yada, yada. And the girl was still just a kid and she was spending all his money and she would have filleted him. Essentially like left him and then took a bunch of money in the process of it while she was asleep with a bunch of people. And I think the whole thing was to kind of make you feel a little bad about the situation that Jack would have put himself in, but I don't think he should have died because of it. I don't think anybody thinks that she should die because of it. But her spending a bunch of his money and doing all those things and being immature, yeah, of course, she's young. Don't get me wrong, there are mature people who are in their early 20s and yada, yada, yada. But what else are you going to do when you have somebody who's so much older than you? Look, he was a grown man talking to a 7-year-old and he waited till she became an adult and he married her. That's weird already, dude. It's already bizarre to grow up around somebody, have that child in your life, and then once they're an adult, like, you're like, I don't know, you erase all that childhood. It's bizarre to me. I couldn't imagine dating somebody that was a kid when I was an adult and I won't say raise them, but they're around constantly. I don't know. Then also that age gap is so massive that she's going to be living a different lifestyle, or she's going to want to live a different lifestyle. This isn't always the case, but it is a lot of the times in regards to like, you did all the stuff you were going to do in your 20s and in your 30s. Now you might be in your 40s and 50s and you want to relax a little bit, and she didn't get to do those things, right? And maybe even your sex drive is different. Who knows? I'm not excusing her cheating, but if you don't want to go do the things she wants to do, you don't have the same sex drive as she does, all these things, I just feel like it's a recipe for disasters. I don't understand why people would do it. It's such a massive gap. Don't get me wrong, there can be, as long as you're not seeking out somebody because of the age difference, that's what makes it weirder, in my opinion. But you also should be cautious if you meet somebody that you align with so well and their age is so different, because it might conflict. And he clearly didn't date her because they lined up perfectly. He knew her already. I don't know. It's all weird, and it's hard for me to feel bad that she was spending all his money and all that type of jazz. Because as the guy stated, she was a kid, you know, and that part needs to be looked at a little bit more, you know. All around it was messed up, and I kind of guessed it a little bit, but it's difficult for me. I don't say to not see it coming. I'm not saying he was going to get murdered or things were going to go that crazy, but you can see some of those things going south because you kind of create the situation for it. Not for the murder bit, but for you to be unhappy because you guys are both at different places in your life. You can see things going south like that. Because sometimes somebody will be young and they'll get into a situation and like, man, I really did not think this through. And they can feel just as trapped as you do. And if you're both adults, I guess you could talk your way through it or something. But I don't know. Whatever. It's crazy. But all around, it's another fun episode. I enjoyed myself a lot with this. Guessing my way through, trying to figure things out and all that. So it was very pleasant. It was fun. All right, folks, that is it. That is all for this one. Hopefully you guys are happy, safe, and healthy. I'll see you in the next one. Later.